I'm going to be reviewing Goodnight PunPun. Now, I said ages ago that I would be reviewing this manga after I'd read it. And basically, it took me so long to actually read it that all of you have probably forgotten that I even said I was going to do this video. So, Goodnight PunPun is a really moving seinen manga from Inio Asano, and I have all 7 books. It is a really beautiful collection. I've got a picture of it on my aesthetic Instagram, which is brand new, so you guys should all go and follow it. I'll put it here somewhere. But basically, it is one of the most moving mangas that I have read for a really long time. While it is technically a coming-of-age / slice of life kind of story, it is a lot darker than you would probably expect from something within that genre. The story follows our protagonist, PunPun Punyama, through his early childhood and into his 20s, as he encounters relatable issues such as love, life, depression, and death. Yeah, I said it was a dark manga, so be prepared for this. Also, there will be no major story spoilers in this, but there will be some minor story spoilers, so please make sure you watch out for that as well. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I may mention a few things that people may class as spoilers. So, at first, when PunPun is at his youngest in the first couple of books, he is a very naive child. And that means that all of the moments in his life that could be quite depressing or dark are actually covered with a veneer of childish naivety. And this is often highlighted by PunPun calling on God for advice using the chant that his uncle taught him, which is, dear God, tinkle hoy. However, as PunPun grows older and this veneer of childish naivety is stripped away, he starts to fully understand what is going on around him and what that means and the implications that that has on his life. And this is the focus of PunPun's character development. Goodnight PunPun is very heavily stylized, which weirdly enough doesn't actually affect its ability to tell a story like certain other stylized mangas do. This stylization comes in a few different ways. Firstly, PunPun himself is often drawn as a small cartoonish bird, as are the rest of his family, and this is in contrast with the other characters who do look quite realistic. And for PunPun at least, his design does change in a way that reflects how he is both feeling at the time and his progression as a character. For example, while he is experiencing a particularly bad episode of depression, he is drawn as a small featureless pyramid that his smaller, birdier form occasionally pops out of. Further into the story, when PunPun has been through some pretty horrific events, some of which are caused by his own hand, he appears as a mostly realistic human, apart from his head, which is always a pitch black demon's head, sometimes with eyes, sometimes with horns. The themes within the manga are explored during PunPun's experiences and relationships, especially with his childhood sweetheart Aiko Tanaka. When they meet in childhood, PunPun's life very quickly begins to revolve around Aiko and the promises that he has made for her as a child, as he is instantly smitten with her. Unfortunately though, this doesn't go so well for PunPun, as he does end up breaking a promise that he made to her, and this unfortunately leads to Aiko not talking to him, before she eventually moves on to a different high school. At this point, when he's in college, Aiko very briefly returns into PunPun's life, and again, he quickly becomes obsessed with her, even going so far as to rent an apartment near where he saw her in the hopes of finding her before his lease is up. It's at this point that PunPun's life somewhat comes together. He starts studying for his real estate license, he meets another girl who's called Sachi, and they begin working on a manga together, and while that relationship isn't necessarily the healthiest relationship in the world, it is much healthier than his relationship with Aiko. PunPun even starts learning how to drive, and it is at his driving school where he once again meets Aiko. And due to this, things do start to spiral very quickly. PunPun abandons the life that he has built for himself without Aiko and basically becomes obsessed with fulfilling the promise that he broke. It doesn't necessarily go too well. I don't want to say too much because it is a bit spoilery, but it's not a happy relationship. And this is reflected in the fact that a lot of the symbolism and settings from the beginning of the book are revisited in the end of the book. For example, there is an incident that knocks Aiko's 2 front teeth out, meaning she looks the same way that she does when PunPun first met her, and PunPun's story comes to a climax at the miso factory that they visited as children. Goodnight PunPun is a very emotional experience. It really succeeds in making the reader empathize with PunPun and the other characters. And if you are anything like me and cannot handle experiencing more than one emotion at once, this will be very overwhelming. It makes you feel angry, sad, happy, all at the same time, and it really does make you think. Despite all of this though, Goodnight PunPun is a deeply moving, dark, emotionally twisted tale, and it really does make you feel for the characters and also reflect on your own life choices and what you have done with your life up until that point. For example, I'm 23, so I am very close to the age that PunPun is at the end of the story, and it really hit me quite hard. Let's just say that. Overall though, I would definitely recommend everyone read Goodnight PunPun. I don't think there is a person out there that wouldn't enjoy this manga to an extent. And once again, it's just simply so moving, so emotional, and so different to everything else that I have read manga-wise. So yeah, that is it for my Goodnight PunPun review. Let me know in the comments below if you've read it before or if I've convinced you to read it. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Don't forget, you can join me next Friday at 8 for the next video.